Today, it's about the most famous edits in the history of cinema. I'm a self-taught editor, so I never have been to the film school. I never had someone tell me what these cuts are about or why they are good or if they're any good, actually, So let's watch them, let's analyze, and let's experience them as the audience member. By the way, if you haven't seen some of these films, there are some spoilers, I guess, here and there, but most of them aren't like plot relevant. And even if there are, I think you can still enjoy the movie knowing about those few things. The first one is 100 years old. It's Sergei Eisenstein's The Battleship Potemkin. I've heard many people talk about how influential this montage sequence has been to countless films and filmmakers. I've seen this film like 3 weeks ago, and I have to admit that I was a little bit afraid to be bored by a silent era movie, but it actually holds up. It actually holds up. Okay, anyway, let's watch the sequence. And for the context, people are running down the stairs because there is like they started revolution, so to speak. On the battleship, they started revolution that reached the land, and people are kind of like, acting against the government, and the soldiers are coming in. Okay, there is the first person being shot. And what's special about this sequence is that it spans across like 6 or 7 minutes, even though in reality it would take like 20-30 seconds to get from the top to the bottom of these long stairs. But still, like, it spans over 6-7 minutes, and people are still running down the stairs by the end of it. And the way he stretches time using that montage sequence and showing like history of multiple people, right? What happened to them during that time. I think that's what's been so special back then. By the way, some films have been influenced by this sequence very strongly. For example, the one with Kevin Costner. Oh my goodness, what's the name? The Untouchables, right? The Untouchables has a sequence of a trolley, a buggy going down the stairs, just like in the Battleship Potemkin. Here it is. We can see a woman, she tries to protect her child. The soldiers are approaching. I don't know, I guess she's just paralyzed with fear. I don't know why she's standing, to be honest. But she's being shot. And then we cut away to the wheels just balancing on the top of the stair. Blood. Okay, she's definitely shot. So now there is this question, like, what happens to the baby, right? And we can see the baby is still alive and fine, but then we have a series of cutaways. It's going down, people are watching. At least, that's what the juxtaposition of images suggests. And it's very interesting that this sequence actually ends on the question. We don't get the answer what happened to the baby. We just kind of know that, okay, it fell out. So it's very powerful, and the use of music in it, I think, adds a lot to it. It holds up after 100 years, and I can see how juxtaposition of images and using cutaways, intercut between like multiple storylines, stuff like that, have been introduced by this sequence. The next one, 400 Blows. It's also a film that I have seen just recently. Okay, and you need a little bit of context. So it's a very long shot, but basically the boy is running away from juvenile. There is a person chasing him. By this moment, probably he lost him, so he's good. But the question is, what happens to him? And where will he go? And the boy has no idea, the boy has no idea. He just knew that he wanted to run away from the place. And we as the audience have no idea what could happen to him. And I think that's why this moment is so special. Okay, I'll just shut up, let you experience it. And the end. Surprising? Maybe, but hear me out. So we use a freeze frame, okay? Freeze frame at the very end. And in the moment when the fourth wall is broken, okay, he looks directly into the lens of the camera. And to me, it looks almost as if a passport photo, okay, a passport picture, or the one that they would take to someone who was arrested, or maybe from a yearbook, And these bring questions to my mind, okay? Was he caught? Was he taken back to the juvenile or maybe somewhere else? If I think about that yearbook picture, right, the question is, what was his future from now on? I sometimes look back through, my yearbook from high school, look at those people that I don't know anymore, and I'm wondering, like, what happened to them? With that ending, you get a similar question in the audience mind. And I think that's why it's kind of brilliant. This ending is kind of ambiguous, but also kind of suggestive. And I think the combination of suggestive yet ambiguous is very interesting to explore. And I think that the film that comes to my mind that maybe was even influenced by 400 Blows, I wouldn't be surprised, is Another Round. And Another Round also ends on a freeze frame. And we also get kind of a similar question in our head. What happened to that guy? Did he ever get along with his wife again? Like all of these questions that are unanswered, yet the ending is suggestive because we can see the transformation and in his approach to life, okay? I love this ending. I love Another Round's ending. And I think this one was kind of a precursor. So from that perspective, it's very interesting to me. Anyway, let's move on with Psycho, okay? We have to talk about the shower sequence because it's so powerful. Okay, so she's taking a shower. We've got cutaways. This edit is very interesting. The one over here, from here to here. And it's kind of jarring in a way because you're cutting away from one frame size to almost identical one without like a big angle change. So it's a little bit jarring to your mind, to the viewing experience, at least nowadays. But it also kind of works. It's not a jump cut, but it kind of works as a jump cut. Anyway, it's kind of irrelevant, so let's move on. Okay, and in this shot, we get the silhouette of a killer. We don't know he's a killer yet, but we expect that there is something weird going on over there. Okay, and now, there it is. A series of rapid jump cuts, okay? It uses details. And sound effects and music. All of it to give you a dramatic impact. And now we can see the blood. I wish the blood would come a little bit earlier. After the first stab, we'll already get some blood over there. But wow, it's scary. It's scary. Without actually showing, the knife going into the body. And that's what makes it interesting. But also that sequence it ends on a match cut that I really, really like. So I'll just speed it up a little bit. Okay, and by the way, the contrast you get with the screams and the music and then the lack of music and just the sound of the running water is great. And now from that drain to her eye, it's a perfect match cut. I love it. But also it's even better because now this shot goes up and goes to the other room, and we as the audience, we know what's inside of that newspaper, okay? And the question is, what will happen to it? And will they find out? This shot is masterful. And also going from that eye straight into the camera, I don't know, it must have been very complicated back then. It would be complicated today with all of the tools we already have. It sounds crazy for me that they were able to pull it off so well. It's amazing. It's amazing. I love this match cut and then this shot that goes to the newspaper. This is, to me, that's the most impressive part of that edit, but the rapid cut sequence during the murder is also impressive. It's also, I get why it must have been influential as well to many filmmakers, And now, Lawrence of Arabia, I love this film. It's so good. And this match cut is not as obvious as match cuts we are used to. And that's why it's also so special. I have more to say about this, but first, let's watch it. I love the way he prepares to blow that match, But you have a funny sense of fun. And that's the cut. And now a very long take of a sunrise. What's interesting about this, I've learned about it recently, is that it was supposed to be a dissolve. And it was shown to the director kind of by a mistake as a cut. But when they saw it, they knew that's the one that needs to stay. We did have a dissolve right now, a moment ago. And by the way, this film is masterful in using dissolves. I mean, it was also kind of the thing they did back then. But to me, as the viewer in 2024, I mean, this match cut is kind of conceptual. All match cuts are intellectual to some extent, right? Because you need to connect the dots and find the correlation between the two. And usually it happens right away. It's like if it's like a shape-based match cut or something like that. But in this case, it's about something else. It's about going from previous life to the new one, okay? And about the sunrise of opportunities for him, okay? He leaves something behind, the life where he was kind of judged as a rebel, not really listening to authorities. And right now he's being given a task where he finally will be able to spread his wings and do what he thinks he's destined to do, okay? And that's why this cut is so great. From blowing the match, closing the chapter of his life, opening on a new one, raising back to life, okay? I don't know. I think it's seriously my favorite cuts of all time, I think. Anyway, let's move on. The next film that I want to talk about is The Graduate. And actually, I made a full video about even more edits from The Graduate because I think this film is so bold in brave editing decisions that we can be inspired by. Again, one of my favorites. And this one, and when it comes to like motion match cuts, this one is my favorite. Definitely, without a doubt. Okay, let's watch it. A love once knew has now grown old. So seamless.
Ben, what are you doing?
But then you get another level.
Well, I would say that I'm just drifting here in the pool.
Why?
And you mix two places, two realities in a way, together with match cuts. It's perfect. I love this moment so much, And The Graduate is really like full of these conceptual cuts. It's one of the movies that I think the editing plays a crucial role, Without the editing, which, by the way, a lot of it obviously have been planned in advance, right? So, editing is not always the role of editor alone, right? It's collaboration between him, the director, the scriptwriter. But still, I think it works so well, and in the whole film, you can see bold editing decisions. Okay, that's great. Let's move on. Okay, and the next one is 2001: A Space Odyssey, okay? And this film, I read the book, so I haven't seen the film until just recently. I've seen it like a few weeks ago. Reading the book, I knew what's going on, what's gonna happen, and so on. I still appreciated it. I think that it's one of very few adaptations that adds another layer to the book, kind of, right? It's not just building on top of the book. I mean, it's building on top of the book, but it's not just using the plot of the film. It uses all that film it's in its arsenal has the best to offer and uses it in a way that adds another layer to the characters, to the story. So, composition, sound effects, all of these tools that we have as filmmakers have been used in advantage, have been used to build on top of the legacy already gave us, right? Yeah, I think book adaptations should be influenced by 2001, definitely. And this is the moment where, we look back at prehistory of humanity, right? And we can see us, monkeys, using tools for the first time. He's using a bone as a sword, basically, kind of, right? And here where he presents his dominance and that they won over another tribe, he throws the bone into the air. And I wish it would be on a one shot, but still, we get a cut, and that cut is kind of like a shape cut, right? It uses the same shape, but it transports us like thousands of years into the future, where we go to the place where we, instead of looking at the sky, we look at the earth from the top. And that's kind of why this cut is so brilliant, because it represents the technological evolution that we've been through. Again, I wish there wouldn't be a cut over here. So when he throws the bone, unfortunately, we do have cut over here. And I'm not sure, maybe someone will tell me that there is a meaning behind it as well or something like that, but I don't buy it. I wish it would be one shot. Okay, let's move on. The next one, The Godfather. Okay, the baptized sequence where Michael is on one hand in the church being given a responsibility for a child, for his life. And then, at the same time, under his orders, people taking the lives of other people. So the man in a church is playing God himself and intercutting between multiple locations and between this place where life is the most important thing that we've been given from the Almighty, and the places where the man himself plays God by deciding who has the right to live and die. Michael admitting to his faith in God, yet at the same time, he's rejecting him by becoming God himself, in a way. And I love how they build up to that moment. We know what's happening. We know what's going on, yet we wait. They build expectations. This is so strong. So strong. I mean, I've watched Godfather 5 times already or something like that. And yet it still gets me, it still gets me as on the first watch. I love how they paced it, how they used music, how they used the words spoken by the priest, how they build an anticipation by intercutting throughout from very early on. I think that this one builds on top of everything else that came to that point. Francis Ford Coppola, I don't know, he's a brilliant man. To me, one of the best movies ever made. And this sequence is... I like the words, guys. Seriously. It's so good. It's so good. So good. After Godfather with its parallel editing, between places, we now have Jaws, Steven Spielberg. The way they build expectations over here with editing is great. Okay, the man has lost his dog. And then we get underwater shots. The music. vertigo effect, the dolly zoom effect, right, is on point, on point. So good, so good. I could watch it many times in a row. But I want to make it clear that it wouldn't work just as a vertigo effect, okay? It works because all of that stuff that came before, the anticipation building, okay, the suspension that we feel, that's why once we get to the point of resolution of someone actually being killed by a shark, that's why this vertigo effect works so well as the moment where he's like, oh my god, this really happened, okay? I was expecting it, but I made a decision and now it cost someone life. That's why this is so powerful. Again, a masterclass in editing. So good, so good. Okay, let's move on. And another montage sequence that has been so influential, even recently, in, for example, Cobra Kai, right? Serious. It's a training sequence from Rocky, okay? So good, so good. It influenced countless movies, again, especially underdog stories of someone training and becoming a better version of himself. And the music, so iconic, right? It became iconic, it wasn't back then, but it became iconic for a reason. It became iconic for a reason. Again, something like this has to be done in the edit. You can do it on the page, and you can plan it out, but then you have to play with the pacing. The pacing has to work. The beats, the story beats, those small moments where you laugh a little bit, stuff like that, it has to be incorporated there. Montages like that, for me, are the best example of how directing, writing and editing has to come together in something cohesive, something that works together well. So good. By the end, you can see that they did like a slow-mo, right? These days, you wouldn't have choppy slow-mo like here. And I would argue that choppy slow motion like here actually sells better as the viewing experience. And I think that like perfect slow motion over here wouldn't work, you know? I really think so. I think that sometimes those imperfections you find in the edit sometimes. And sometimes, in this case, by necessity, but yet they add that special layer of authenticness, you know? Of it feeling authentic, even though it's not what you would experience in reality. It's an interesting topic. I don't know. Would love to talk about it more with someone more experienced one day, maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting topic. It's an interesting topic I'm passionate about. Let's move on. And the last one, Raging Bull. And you know, a lot of people in the industry are so strict about continuity. And that's why I love to watch film filmmakers' edits that lack that continuity in the most unexpected moments, you know, sometimes. And Raging Bull is one of her early works, but I think this is the foundation for all of her future works, you know. I think that's where she really felt the freedom to do, with Marty, of course, what she thought works best for the picture. Okay, let's watch it. I love the use of silence. Again, it's all about the contrast. Use the silence over there. Now all of these sound effects work better. Have more effect on the audience. I love the white shit over here, by the way, as well. Okay, and now, this is the moment where I'm talking about. This is the moment. Silence again. Very, very vertigo effect, actually, once again, right? But in opposite direction. And now creating this silent, slow moment to juxtapose it with what's coming and with its brutality. And those overlapping edits sometimes. Can you see Psycho in it? I can see Psycho in it. That shower sequence. Okay, and after that rapid sequence, violent, again, violent not only in the content, but in the editing itself. The editing is violent. And then once again, we get silent moment to give a punchline. I mean, that's how it's done. Obviously, speaking about this as a viewer, this is done by masters. I'm no near their level, you know, but this is how it's done. You know, watching it, that this is how it's done. That's how you punch the audience in the guts while they're watching a movie about a boxer. So good, so good. Okay, anyway, so that's it for today. Let me know if there are any other edits that you consider to be the most influential for you. And if you like this format, do you want me to do more of these videos? Let me know. The video where I talk about very brave decisions that the editor of The Graduate did is over here, so check it out. And if you haven't seen Walter Murch interviews, they're over here. Till the next time, bye.